All right, welcome to the relationship show. This one is on his girlfriend doesn't like his date ideas. So he says he's 21-year old, he's a man. My girlfriend doesn't want to go on dates with me. She's 21 as well. I'm 20-year-old male, yeah. Girlfriend of about 6 months expressed that because of the potential for disappointments in my idea of a date, she doesn't want to go out on them anymore. Or let me explain. We've had a few insecurity issues that come back over time. So is that coming from him or is that coming from her? Basically, I'm very much from Michigan with a progressive household, a single mother, and raised around a lot of people who have had the same experience. I hadn't seen a stay at home parent, and most of my friends' parents weren't together growing up. So he didn't really have many role models as far as relationships. They were all like single families. His friends had single families. I hadn't seen a stay at home parent, and most of my friends' parents weren't together growing up. This is relevant because she's from Georgia, and while her parents aren't together either, her understanding of a relationship and how men treat women and vice versa is a lot different than mine. A lot more old school. We'd hit it off well enough for the most part because I know that things like me opening doors for her or picking up the tab on a special date or little traditional gentlemanly things are things that I do anyway, but not because of traditional values. So we have different reasons, but to my understanding, that's just me being nice in a way to make someone I'm with feel special. Yeah, I mean, it makes him feel special. That's really what it's about. It's about, giving her, your full attention and really showing her that she really matters on a date and that she is your total focus. Over time, I've had some insecurity in this because, as a function of conversations we've had, I'm very aware she's into men um, that do that for her. So he's insecure because he doesn't basically like fit a standard, at least. Um, Men that are bigger than her, strong, tough looking guys, and ideally those that make more than her so she can be something of a stay at home parent. We're both in a PhD application process, and she works really hard. I think it's valid. Some people want to be stay at home parents or have certain roles. So I don't really question her work ethic or anything like that, but it feels like a lot of burden for me to shoulder. And I feel I should be a more traditional man because of what she's into. Um, Yeah, I mean, so like the traditional thing, like the roles, like gender roles and stuff, they can work, but it's almost like it's not like the most important thing. It's like the means to the end. And so it's not like the end. So it's not the most important thing. And it's just a way to get basically an outcome. And the outcome is, getting like masculine and feminine energies. So the polarities are aligned. So you have that healthy attraction. But it's like if you focus too much on like those kind of things, it's like focusing, yeah, again, like on the means. And there's other ways to do it. So these aren't like locked in. There's many ways to achieve the outcomes of like the polarities, the certainty, uncertainty, etc. Um, I'm currently in Michigan and have been for about a month with plans to return to her location in Georgia very soon here, but I have things to take care of with my family. So it's like a long distance relationship. Um, it's a bit of a problem for me that I'm probably not going to be able to be where she's at for Valentine's Day, but it is what it is, and I'm doing my best. We're both not stuck on that, but she did tell me that even when I get back, she'd like to not do things with me that are called dates anymore. So she's basically like friend zone you. Um, for me asking her about it, she feels that my perception of a date is much more relaxed than hers. is because my ideal date can consist of doing things like going to the grocery store or the park. Um, because the focus of a date for me is quality time. So at least she's being honest with you. Like, you don't often find women that'll just tell you straight up what it is. I mean, that's actually a pretty cool quality. Um, but on the other hand, too, like he's really like with this thing, he's really thought out in like in detail, like what's going on. You can kind of tell he's like a pretty intelligent person, but um, he just has his own ways of doing things based on what he knows, and then she has her other things that she, believes that they should be. And so it's like we have these basically models of the world, how we think things should be, and it's like a matter of navigating one person's perceptions of how they should be and another person's, and that's what relationships are like. It's like being in that environment and being able to manage that. And if they're too different, then it makes things difficult. And this is kind of the situation where that it's like they have different values. Um, yeah, okay, so it was like he thinks it's like quality time to basically like go on like walks and like grocery store dates. For her, it's a man showing effort for her time. So things like dinner in a restaurant are more important to her. I take notes and try to accommodate this because it doesn't take much for me to accommodate what makes her happy sometimes too. Yeah, I mean, if she likes going on dates and you're trying to do like grocery store things, I mean, why not just go on a date? It's like it's not that big of a change. And then, or also, you could just do like maybe you do go to a grocery store and then you make it like a whole experience. So that you go like to a grocery store, you get the food, and then you go back to your place and then you make dinner and you have like a really romantic dinner that you put a lot of effort in, maybe like candlelit. And then after that, then you might go on a walk. So you go to for like three different locations. Um, and you just put a little more effort in order to make her feel special, because that's kind of what she needs, is to be made feel more special. Like if you're just setting these like grocery store or like walk dates during the day, it's kind of like where's the romance in it? It's just like kind of like everyday things, which can have their place to do, but it's like if you want something like romance, pick dates that will lead to that have the potential to lead to like kissing or having sex. So set those in the evening. But basically she's telling me that because my definition of date is modern, uh, which could include splitting the bill, for example, or things like opening doors for her, or things I might not do on occasion, um, that she'd be stressed out and worried about being disappointed because her definition of a date includes those things. And without being able to tell I'm showing her all that effort, the date would be disappointing for her. Yeah, so I mean, he's just got this idea of a modern date, is what he calls it, and a date is basically a date that's not really working for him. So it's like you have to, get rid of these like ideals, whether it's even like back like traditional ways, or what he's considering modern ways. Um, and you have to just focus on what actually gets the results. And so just kind of blow those things out the window if you really want to be successful, and then just figure out what actually works, do those things, and then get success. So she says we might be able to do similar things, but don't call it a date anymore. So yeah, she's like, well, we can be friends, but I don't want to date you. For me, I told her that being aware those things are important to her and her outright asking me not to try because of potential disappointment. It feels like I'm being told I'm clearly not her type and that I'd like to try, and it's confusing, and that she can't at least try to accept my effort. What do I do? I mean, it's like, it's probably true that you guys aren't really compatible in at least your values, and so it might be best, honestly, to separate and find someone new, find someone that supports your values if the two of you aren't willing to change. um what do I do? I mean, he's thinking he needs to like get her back even now that she's friend zoned him. Now he thinks he should basically change for her. And when you do that, it's like when you get dumped and then she gives you like a reason why you got dumped, and then you change that reason, and then you come back to her, you're like, well, I changed now we can date again. It's not really, that doesn't really work. It's like at that point it becomes like a negotiation. And so it's like when someone is like totally over eager to basically get the other person, and then they would do things like change for them, change their personality, change their values even, then it's almost like pleasing, approval seeking behavior. And then it's like, yeah, it's almost like they'll basically just renegotiate, if you will, on like how, and find another reason why they still aren't attracted to you. So what you really have to do is just like walk away from the situation, and walk away, and then just mean it. Say, state your terms, whether it's, the guy or really the girl, which she did. I mean, she really stated her terms, but she's still in like this, like, doesn't want to completely cut someone off and stay in the friend zone, kind of thing. Um, but from the guy's perspective, I just walk away and, be okay with that. If she comes back, maybe you try again, you set a date, and then you kind of analyze what went wrong and analyze what will work. Um, and then just basically follow that model, and just don't try to model basically the failed relationships that you said that you basically grew up around and that all your friends had. So I mean, I'd start with that right now. I mean, you're in friend zone, so just look for another girl, one that that you can get along with more, that you feel like that your values align.